Welcome back to part 3, where now I focus on defence and the player that I think will be absolutely crucial to Manchester United's success next season. Now, you might think that it's going to be the obvious choice, a player that we've bought a few years back under Eric Ten Hag in Licha. Well, that's a no. Why? It's quite straightforward. Injury record, suspension record. The other one, again, quite obvious, Matthias de Ligt. Now, again, I've always said that he was the best defender in the league up until he got that mysterious injury last year in November. However, the good news about him is that he has returned to light training. He is training with the first team out there in pre-season, but again, don't expect him to be back until probably late September, early October, and knowing Manchester United, maybe even November. But at the moment, we're kind of going through this phase where the club don't give much information out, and it's definitely not accurate information out when it comes to injuries. So I won't be surprised if he does come back sooner, but he is not the choice that I'm thinking. Why? Because can we rely on him? And it's not even going to be Lenny Yoro or even Aiden Heaven. I still reckon these two players have got a lot to prove. Yoro's got another year behind him, a lot more experience. Some of these young guys need to be really put to task and tested out in the Premier League. Last year, we saw Aiden Heaven give away kind of cheap goals, getting caught out of positions. Even the goal in pre-season against PSG, when they scored earlier on, Aiden Heaven, he should have been watching his shoulder, who was behind him, and he should have really cut out that goal. The ball did come in quite quick, but I was quite disappointed in him. And again, it just all comes down to experience. His mother had a really good interview on Stretford Paddock. It was quite fascinating to see his progression from her eyes. And again, don't get me wrong, Aiden Evan and Lenny Yoro, they've got a huge future at Manchester United. I actually see them as the partnership succession going forward, for the next 5 to 10 years. It's just a matter of getting experience with them and them starting to get regular minutes on the pitch. But it goes without saying, the guy that I think will be pivotal to Manchester United's season next year is the guy that once upon a time played immensely well in a system under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Counter-attacking football, managing the box, in the box, defending was unbelievable from him. His heading ability, second to none. But then, the man we pinned all of our hate on, the guy that we focus all of our anger towards, the guy that made continuous mistakes because he was played out of position. We were expecting too much of him. The guy had the ability to cross balls, to play through passes, but when you leave him by himself, he gets exposed. And because of that, because of continuous managers using him in a way where I think was completely wrong, we probably rightfully so in some ways. Yes, he made his mistakes and you got to blame him for it. But then the guy I'm about to say came back, and he didn't just come back, he proved everyone wrong. He stayed at Manchester United. He proved how good he was. He played when others were injured. He played when others got suspended. He scored us late goals, got us over the line, cleared the balls, used his head in defensive positions that no one in the Premier League or even Europe can do. He got to the final of the Euros. He should have been in the World Cup. It was absolutely scandalous that he wasn't. So you play this guy to his abilities and the passion and the professionalism that this guy has shown in a Manchester United shirt. Well, I reckon, surprisingly, even at his age, Harry Maguire is going to be absolutely key to Manchester United season next year. Clearly, he's going to be starting the Premier League this year because of how De Ligt and Leach's injuries are affecting them. And again, we're not in a position to already start Aiden Heaven and Lenny Yoro together. However, I do want to see them together in maybe some of the cup competitions. However, he's got a full pre-season. His mind is set up. He's professional. He's trained well. He's played the pre-season games. I can't see a team where Harry Maguire gets dropped in if he starts the season off well, which I predict he will, and go on and actually become the main defender next year. It might be that Delict comes back, plays a few games, does really, really well, and the competition gets really, really intense, which obviously Michael Carrick and us as fans want, that they kind of push each other to maintain a really high standard. But that also means, we obviously benefit from it because the season is a long season. We're going to be wanting to play around 60 plus games. There's going to be plenty of games for everyone. Harry Maguire could be mixture of a league defender and a Champions League defender, definitely in the cups. I think the cup competitions actually will be more where he plays Delict and Licha, because if there's a consistency in the league, then I guess he'll probably rotate and stick with one or the other, and maybe have a defenders in the league and defender in the Champions League, FA Cup, and Carabao Cup. However, the reason why I think he'll be pivotal is because he's proven it, his professionalism, how we're gonna, with the Premier League, the teams around in the Premier League, their teams are getting taller, stronger when it comes to set pieces. Harry Maguire is absolutely elite at that type of defending. And looking at him in pre-season, have you not noticed that he's been pinging a few forward balls quite often, quite quickly? He's had that switch off pass on him, and yes, we've seen it go astray. But if you don't take that risk, then you'll never know. You've got to be your defenders are a modern defender. If you see all the passing and the forward passing stats, they always defenders now, aren't they? And I think Harry Maguire can be that player. He can step up as long as he's got a really good and quick centre back next to him, a Licha, a Aiden Heaven. I can't see why not. It all comes down to the run of form, and I think it will be absolutely stupid. And I don't think Carrick is that type of manager, and I think the other defenders will have to respect that. But taking their own situations into consideration, they'll actually probably think, yes, we're going to have a long season. It's going to be a lot of games, and they will get enough game time, because I don't expect Harry Maguire to be playing 50 plus games next year. What I do expect him is to between that 30 to 40 game mark. But if he goes on a run, he will stay in that team. I can't see Carrick bringing him out. And that's why I reckon he's crucial. I reckon his experience, the way that we've heard that Maguire talks to the other defenders like Aiden Heaven and Lenny Yoro, he's becoming a pivotal kind of leader in the dressing room. So why wouldn't you think that he can be a pivotal part of the season going forward? Now he's got that 1 year contract plus one. I wouldn't be surprised that we give it to him out of respect, because whatever you think of the transfer window so far this season, I do reckon that Manchester United have got a good enough team so far to challenge for them top four positions. With Yuri Tielemans, some of the play that and the possession football that we'll be having, and pinning back defenses with the creation that we'll have, freeing up Bruno Fernandes, and then having a proper number six, a dynamic one with legs in Andre Santos. And again, the transfer window isn't closed. And an update from Simon Stone in his report on the BBC is that he's had word with insiders at Manchester United. And here in the UK, Simon Stone is actually a very reputable journalist. And he's spoken to people inside Manchester United, and they've clearly said to him, judge us at the end of the window. So, with all fairness, that's what we're going to have to do. So, I do expect Manchester United to be adding to the squad. But until that happens, that first month of the season, I think Ineos and the coaching staff and Carrick are thinking that we can actually get a good enough team together for them first 3 or 4 games. You're looking at Hull City, Ipswich Town, Everton. I'm sorry, but I think the team that we've already assembled under Carrick is more than capable of winning them games. It's when you get to that Man City, then to Tottenham's, and get into October, September, late, and then into October, when the really big games come into play. And that's when you want your proper first team, all your signings embedded, get ready to kind of attack the season from then on. Why? Because also the Champions League starts. So I think it's crucial that we start off with all the players that, and you can see in the preseason that Carrick is playing more and more of these players for a lot more in the games, 70 minutes, and you'll start playing them for 90 minutes, and then you'll get an understanding that who will be in defense for that whole game. And we'll talk about that kind of approach on another video. But what is the thought process of You guys, do you think that Leach will come back quicker, Delict will come back quicker, or do you think that lengthy period of time that they're out, that they should be actually taken time and embedded and back in slowly? And do you think that it's their right to come back straight into the team? That's a really big question because these are really, really top defenders, professionals. You know, I'm not going to start debating who's better and who's not because we've got a set of defenders where we could be proud of. I think that's a part of our team that actually we're quite stacked in that central defensive unit. Or do you think that it's time now for Euro to step up, that right centre back, or give the chance to as a left-footed centre back to Aiden Heaven? The promise that he's shown. Do we go with that kind of youth in defence? Because again, it's going to be a point where we're going to have to use the whole kind of contingent of the centre backs during the season because of the amount of games we play. And I guess the more games they get, the more partnerships they build. But I promise you, I got a feeling that, in my opinion, that Harry Maguire will be one of them that he gets partnered with all the time. And that's why I think defense is obviously going to be key to what we do next season because ultimately it does look like the way the Premier League is going at the moment, teams are going to be setting up to be hard to beat, and Manchester United's rest defense has to be capable of basically soaking up that counter attack, you know, foiling anyone's attack before it reaches the halfway line, using them kind of intelligent fouls, you know, pressing teams in, keeping control of the ball. And then when we are under pressure in the box, especially, I think Harry Maguire marshalling it, controlling it, giving out instructions, showing that leadership. I think it's time for us as a Manchester United supporters to give him his credit and maybe even, you know, a lot of us who kind of wrote him off and said, you know what, just get him out of the club. Not me personally. I've always loved I think always a Manchester United player should show that aggression and that heart and that kind of never die attitude. And yes, it gets tough for some people, but you got to take things into context. You know, we were at one point all pointing the finger at Bruno Fernandes and asking him to leave because blaming him for everything. But you got these good players playing under bad systems and a bad management, you know, and then because their position is so pivotal to the team, it gets highlighted a lot more. And that's why Harry Maguire, don't get me wrong, I'm not excusing him for mistakes. I was one of them people that thought when he was going through that bad time, maybe it is time to get rid of him. But I will always say I'm happy to be proven wrong, and I wanted to be proven wrong because I'm happy to have my mind changed at any point. Because at the end of the day, Harry Maguire is the type of player, and the attitude that he has is the one that I really, really respect. You know, he came back, he gave it all, and you know some of the goals he scored. The one at Anfield last year, I mean, unbelievable. You know, the year before that in the Europa League, you know, the last minute goals. You know, he gives you that edge. But like I said, just go back to that that Liverpool goal last year. It was unbelievable. So I actually think that, yeah, if you are similar in my thought process, tell me why do you think that is it? Because of the reasons that I've stated, or other reasons? Do you think it's because you know we've got no other choice, and that might be part of it, obviously, because at the moment we don't. But if there's a different combination, let me know a type of combination that you would prefer in that defense. Is it youth and experience, or is it just let's go with youth? It's time to give Euro and Heaven their chance and go straight in there, put them in the deep end, or just you know what, put your kind of sit back and just think about it, be calm about it, and give a player like Harry Maguire the time and the respect and the games he deserves because he has worked hard for it to show that you know what, he may be possible that he ends his career at Manchester United. And like I've said, the season's going to be long. It's going to be rotation, but I've got a very, very, you know, decent feeling that Harry Maguire will be a pivotal part of Manchester United's success next year. So, tell me what you guys think. It'll be interesting to know. In the last video, I'll obviously be looking at one of the key positions that's absolutely drove us mental over the years. Ever since 1999, when Peter Schmeichel left, we've always had issues in replacing the goalkeeper. Now, it's not going to take a genius to obviously work out who I'm going to think is going to be the most important person in that position. But join me on the next video. Please remember to like and subscribe. And I guess I'll be back.